Golair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diegwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go.
On Slice 38 it is something different. I chat with Sanya in Dubai, an author who has lived a large portion of her life in Ireland, from Monaghan to Mullingar and all in between. She tells us about her books based on a set of children's characters called the Wadi Tribe. We look at how her character, Tach, a number 14 full forward turtle, finds his way to Croke Park to play hurling, all done through the means of story, which helps children with their emotional development and management. It is a wonderful project and something I'm delighted to be able to bring to you. It's not just for the GAA, but for teachers, parents and anyone who wants to help children as they develop and grow. But before we chat to Sanya, let's find out just a little about Tach and the Wadi Tribe. Bon Soltas. Tach and the Cosanthór, and Tach Plays in Croke Park, are two of the books involving the beautiful turtle himself, Tach, as he teams up with his friends Caw and Turwa. Tach is desperate to play games with his friends, but has that fear many children have when it comes to rough and tumble, the fear of getting hurt. But then Tach finds himself in ancient times where he faces his fears through the game of hurling. Tach comes up against a Cosanthór called Renba, but then you need to go on to thewaditribe.com to find out the rest of the story. But the book aims, along with the others in the collection, to bolster children's ability to manage emotions. With so many kids having experienced the harsh nature of a global pandemic, many different ways of learning, remote friendships and a remote life in some ways, there's probably never been a better time to get heavily involved in the ways of managing emotions in children. We're all born with fears, but it is through our life in early days that these can disappear or grow. Often it takes years to realise those fears. Take me for example, someone who's been to more than 100 countries around the world and been on hundreds of flights. And yet about 13 or 14 years ago, I began to notice a sense of panic when flying. And it grew, and grew, and my own management of the emotions was very poor. It hit the wall when I locked myself in the toilet in Dublin Airport so I wouldn't have to fly to Helsinki a few years ago, somewhere that I've been absolutely dying to go to. I love the experiences of being abroad and everything it brings, but not the journey there and back. But as I've learned, it's all about emotional management. As someone said to me before, control what you can and learn to control yourself around what you cannot. And Tach is the same. Through hurling and with the help of those around him, he works towards something bigger than a schlitter or a game on the hallowed turf in Croke Park. He's building himself. And that is where I'll pass you over to Sanya to tell you more about Tach and his adventures.
Hi,
Hey Sanya, how are you?
I'm okay. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, Jet. Whereabouts are you at the moment then?
Well, can you see the palm trees behind me?
Yeah, I
On
can,
the
yeah.
top there. Yeah. So it's Dubai. That's where I
Oh,
am at the
nice.
moment.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. Yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
How do you?
I've travelled quite a bit. I've been to about 100 countries or so, probably around the world. So
Geez, if you're here over here again, especially for the expo, give me a shout. We'll get together.
yeah, I don't know when. I don't know when the next time will be, but hopefully not too far into the distance. So
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the Irish Pavilion, which is
yeah,
very exciting. Yeah.
yeah. I've had a couple of the Dubai GA teams on as well, so it's been
Oh,
fun.
have you?
Yeah,
Which one?
I had Jumeirah Gales on, and who else? I think Dubai Kels and Sharjah Gales are coming on as well.
Oh,
Um,
brilliant.
I've had a lot of the Middle East teams. I've been to Oman, so I had the Oman GA team on. I had the Kuwait,
January. Yeah.
yeah, Kuwait GA. They were on Kuwait Harps. I've had a few. I've got friends in Oman, so I said I had to bring the Oman team on and see.
Does you have to come over here then?
Yeah, I probably have to. Yeah. Are you from Dubai originally, or?
No, no, no. I'm Pakistani Irish. I moved to Ireland back in 1996.
Okay.
So Ireland has been home. Like the kids were born and raised over there, and moved to this part. Uh, it was 2010. And move
Okay.
over here for 2 years. But you know what? Every year I'm like, okay, this is the year we're going back, but we're still here.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah. Whereabouts in Ireland were you living?
Well, I landed in Monaghan, but I moved around to Ennis, Limerick, Mullingar, Kilkenny, and then eventually settled down in Dublin. But
Oh,
I'd call myself a Monaghan. Well, it's not a city, but I call myself the Monaghan city girl. I know it's a town.
yeah. I'm from Mullingar. I live in Mullingar. So whereabouts?
Oh, no way.
Tell us about the Wadi Tribe then, and all about Tach and the book.
So the Wadi Tribe, right? It's an entertainment company. It's towards children 11 years and younger, and it had started as an entertainment company. You know, we had these characters which kids were sort of latching on to, but this was on the side. Like I was still running an interior architecture company,
Okay.
but for whatever reason, even at the start, it had an energy on its own. So there was a lot of adults and kids who kept on saying, well, what is this character about? Can we know more? So each character started growing in personality. And then eventually we were doing a focus group in a school. And one of the students was actually stammering. He just moved to this part of the world. He was 9 years old at that stage. And I was just talking about this small little fish who had a shark as a pet. And the more I talked about little fish, his stammering started getting better. So after the session, I sort of went and asked the teacher, you know, like, what's the story behind this child? And she said, well, he's come over here and he's being bullied. And it's such a new environment from Europe. So he's never stammered, but he started stammering now. And I was like, would you mind if we do some kind of a program by using the character and see if it makes any difference? Because we could visually see the difference in him while he was chatting away with me. We did the focus group, we did the program with them, and you could see the difference, not just in him, but in other kids as well. And in that instant, Jason, I decided that it cannot just be an entertainment company. So we brought in education, and it became an edutainment company. For a very long time, I was like, maybe I've come up with the term, but the term has existed like decades earlier before I thought, yeah.
I was wondering because I watched the video, I heard the term and I was like, oh, I've not heard that term before. So
yeah. Well, as long as you heard first with me, I can say like I was the first one to tell Jason about edutainment. I'm done with that.
Exactly.
No, it's existed. Like edutainment has been. It's basically educating kids through fun. So it's just grown from there. And in regards to the book, so my husband's a big GA man. He's the McKittricks up from Fingarians, right? All his family, the brothers, even the girls, you know. And his father is a two-time gold medalist for under 18s. And so he kept on saying, when are you writing books on GA? And I was like, I have to be inspired, you know. And at that stage, I've written 7 books already. So hurling just kept on attracting me, firstly because it was very close to hockey. Like we would have seen and watched hockey in Pakistan. And then I read somewhere that hurling is an ancient warrior sport.
Yep.
And that sentence, Jason, just unleashed the whole Shanaki in me, you know. And 3 days, 3 nights later, I looked terrible, but I did have the first draft of the book.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's how the whole Tach the Hurler series came about.
Okay, so where had Tach gone before this? What are the books or what are the adventures that you put him through?
So the first one, which is 6 years plus, was called Tach and the Cosanthór. And the way it's written, it's like somebody who has no idea what hurling is discovering from ancient times. So what starts as sticks and conkers, then eventually becomes, you know, they're playing with commons and slithers, and then you have the word Cosanthór, which as we know, is the defender in Irish. And then eventually it starts with Michael Cusack's common, and then you see the shape changing as well as we go along. And the term hurling is right towards the end that comes up. But it's a discovery process. And of course, there's a lot of adventure. There's wolves involved in it as well. And Tach being small and a turtle was a lovely character for me to play with when it came to the sport hurling, which is the fastest game on the ground, you know. And when you look at a turtle, like, how in the world is he
Yeah.
going to play that game? I get that question asked a lot of times.
Yeah. That probably is something, I suppose, the kids in Ireland will probably look at first. You've picked like the slowest animal in the world for the fastest game in the world.
Yeah, well, a lot of the hurlers, you know, professional hurlers, they ask me, not just the kids, they're like, why a turtle? You know,
Yeah.
Sanya. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah. Was that the kind of main inspiration for choosing the turtle, the kind of, you know, opposites in some ways?
Yeah, I'd love to say yes, Jason, but we had a lot of characters within the Wadi tribe. And I was just going through the characters, and Tach's personality just seemed perfect for the story, for him to discover something. He's kind of a daydreamer, and he's afraid of lots of things, you know. Fear is the first emotion that kicks in when he's on a pitch or when he's playing with his friends. So it's like he might be a great character to use to teach kids how you can overcome fear through sports. And then hurling came along and we just married it together. Never thought of the fact that it's a turtle small. It was more about the edutainment side of things that I was focusing on.
Okay.
And why and how does he play? You just have to read the books. I wish I could answer that.
And then in that book, I think somewhere there's the opposition or the Grogox, is that right? Or Grogosh?
Oh, right, okay. So
Yeah.
that's the second book you're talking about. So that one is 4 year plus.
Okay.
It's this one over here. Yeah, Attack plays in Croke Park. That's the one you're talking
Yeah.
about. The one I was talking about is this one. You can see it's a bit heavy in text
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So this second one, Tach plays in Croke Park, is 4 years plus. So what happened with the first book was a lot of people said, look, listen, we want something for the younger kids as well. Can you write something like 2 years or 4 years plus? I was like, sure, no worries. So I wanted Tach to have the first experience in Croke Park playing his match, because a lot of the time when you talk to the footballers and the hurlers, they talk about Croke Park as such a nostalgic memory. The first time, you know, the grass being cut, or when they entered the hallowed grounds, and when they jump up and the whole family comes on the ground, you know, the rejoicing.
Yep.
It was almost like an extension, and like it was part of their DNA. So I kind of wanted to capture that DNA in the story. It's like, I have to take him to Croke Park. There's no other place that I want him to play except Croke Park. And then I was like, you know what? I do want him to have really big opponents. So I picked up these huge, massive Grogox who are like 4 times or 5 times his size. So the problem in the book, in the storyline, is that Tach can't even oversee his opponents. So how in the world are the turtles going to win against the Grogox?
Yeah. It sounds like did you get the idea for the Grogox from Monaghan or from Mullingar or?
No, actually, it was my husband Brendan who came up with it, and I used it as part of a Grogox Island up in the map in the first book. So on my books, 6 years plus, they have like a map in the beginning, right? And there's a little Grogox Island over there. I don't know if you can see that. So it's just up over there.
Oh yeah. And
I was going over it. It's like, yeah, that's perfect. I'll take them for this.
Okay, so it's exactly like Monaghan then, just out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's about right. And what about for like teachers or someone like me? Say if I took it into my classroom, what would you recommend, or how would you recommend as somebody to use it as a tool?
Jason, that's a really good question. We're actually just finishing lesson plans. So we have 8 lesson plans throughout an 8-week, and each lesson plans will have worksheets to complement as well. And it's all around social and emotional learning. You have other elements, like it could be recognizing the shape of the characters, or say the goalpost might be rectangle, but mainly it's focusing on the social and emotional learning for the kids, introducing words like, what does fear look like? You know, if your friend is afraid, can you recognize that emotion on the face? So when they're rejoicing, can you recognize that, and then can you put a word to it? So finishing the lesson plans, the book has been translated into Irish as well.
Oh, very good.
Which is brilliant. So we're hoping that the lesson plans will be translated in Irish as well, so we can start pushing the book into Gael Tach schools as well.
Very good, yes. And what's the long-term vision then for Tach? Where do you expect him to be visiting next?
Hopefully the television screens.
Okay.
I would love Tach the Hurler to become an animated series for preschoolers. So like a 6.5 minute, that is the dream.
Okay. And your Kickstarter project kind of that you sort of did online for it. How has that gone for you?
So the Kickstarter project, we got funded in 48 hours, which was brilliant. And
Wow.
it was my first Kickstarter. Didn't realize how much effort and work goes behind it. So we got fully funded for the book, which is basically like a pre-sale of the book, a pre-order. So we got some big funders as well. And there was a gentleman as well who's bought like 1,000 copies to give to charity up in Ireland as well for the book. So it's been a great response. The book itself goes into print end of October, so we're hoping it'll be out by Christmas, hopefully. And I'm hoping that somebody in the Late Late Show will pick up the book and put it up in the toy show.
Yeah, there's there's a thing on Twitter usually around November time, the book owls, which is quite useful if you can. Sarah Webb is the lady who tends to run that. She's very, very good. And only I was involved in it last year. I ended up being involved in it. So it's basically a group of us kind of read through books and put up recommendations on Twitter. And quite a lot of them ended up on the Late Late Toy Show, which was quite interesting. So yeah, it's something you could definitely consider. Any publicity, I suppose, is good publicity for a book.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, you should definitely try that. What about your own? I know you mentioned about your husband as well and yourself. What's your own interest in the GAA like in general?
Well, he loves playing football. He loves that. For me, what drew me, even before I met him, to GAA was the community. And it's quite ironic because the Wadi Tribe says where everyone is welcome and GAA has where everyone belongs. So there's a synergy there. For me, the fact that no matter where you go, you always belong to a club and you cannot be bought as well. It was the sense of community. And a lot of the times when we have traveled, once we find a GAA club, you just know you're home. It makes the settling period instantly feel like home. So for me, that whole sense of community, I think all sports should be amateur sports like this, honestly. You play for the love of the game.
Brilliant, yeah. And where would teachers who are listening or GAA players or parents who are listening, where's the best place to go and locate your book then?
So, Jason, the book is actually on our e-commerce, and you pay the shipping cost is the same as you would say in Ireland, and you will receive the book within 5 to 7 working days, depending on the COVID situation. We absorb a lot of the shipping cost. So if you go to the e-commerce website, www.thewaditribe.com, all the books, all the merchandise is there as well. We're in duty-free now as well. So if you want to reiterate the message of the character like Tach the Hurler, we've got like the commands, the slithers, magnets, genuine leather keychains, school bags now as well. There's lots of merch on the thing besides the book. And also, so I might just release this on your podcast. So what's happening now is that we're developing augmented reality for the book as well. So when you put the app over Tach, so you'll have to look for the number 14 in the book, you know, that's the number Tach is wearing. Tach will actually come alive in animation through the app as well. So it just makes it a bit more interactive and interesting for the kids. So you'll see his fear, you'll see him hitting the slither and stuff as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Is there anything else that people should know about the book before I let you go? Is there anything I missed out on?
About the book, well, I think you kind of covered everything, Jason. We've got the Irish and the Arabic and the TV series. We've covered that as well. I think you've covered everything. There is one thing, Jason, specifically for the first book, Tach and the Cosanthór. The font is in a special dyslexic font as well.
Oh, brilliant.
So so it's made it easier, not just for adults, but for the kids as well. I find a lot of the parents saying they love reading this book. They find it easier. And it's not the style of the storytelling, but it's the fact that I've used a dyslexic font in it. And I know it's made a huge difference for the kids.
Yeah, that's always important. Yeah, we've seen a lot of it in Ireland, kind of in schools lately, particularly even the change of the color of the background of the page and stuff is something that a lot of books have kind of changed lately as well to suit, you know, people's learning needs kind of as well, which is great. So yeah, that's definitely a huge positive for the book. I'll definitely be telling people and all my teacher friends keep an eye out for it, and anything I can do to promote it, I certainly will help, because it sounds like a very worthwhile project, especially for the kids of Ireland would definitely love something like this as well.
You're very good, Jason. I think also beyond Ireland as well, this is a great book to introduce someone what's the word? It's a great way of introducing, I suppose, Ireland to foreigners, because I know that somebody approached me from Vietnam and they said, we have visited Ireland when we were in our teens. And I want to get this book so it starts the conversation about Ireland, Croke Park. What is Croke Park? And from there, they can go on to talking about different places that he has gone to. So it's almost nostalgic and memory, but also it's a great way of introducing Ireland to kids anywhere in the world.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah. So anyone who's interested, definitely go online and have a look for Tach. You'll definitely not regret it. It sounds amazing. Sanya, thanks so much for coming on and for giving up your time as well to come on and tell us all about it. And hopefully in the next couple of months and over the next year, so we might see Tach in all the schools and households in Ireland. Hopefully.
Thanks a lot, Jason. And, lots of best wishes for Loaf of Bread. Every time I say to somebody, I'm going on Loaf of Bread, they're like, what is it about? And I love telling the story. But you know what? You don't even have to explain to somebody when you say, okay, you'll be sliced this one. They just get it. But it's something you never forget as well. So great name. And I've heard only positive things about this podcast.
Great. Thanks so much. Yes. And I'll definitely keep in touch and hopefully might see Tach in my own school, hopefully soon enough.
Fingers crossed.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much, Sanya. I'll talk to you again soon. Hopefully I might see you in Dubai soon, hopefully.
All right. Take care, Jason.
Yeah,
Thanks
take care. Thank
this.
you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
There's some overlaps in the book, but I see that as, sort of important.
Yeah.
If multiple high standard players are saying the same thing over and over, it must be the right thing. Then it's good. The contradictions in it, some players will say, stick to football or hurling because, you need to do that to excel at it. Then, for example, from Mayo, Sarah Rowe, she's saying play multiple and, she's starring. Obviously, I think she's back in the Ireland squad now. It's been for shows recently, shiving in multiple sports.
On Slice 39, it's another book. And this time I chat with Nafina GAA man from Dublin, Sean O'Sullivan, author of the amazing new book, The Player's Advice. Sean tells me all about the idea for the book, some of the great advice and chats he had with stars like Niall Morgan, Breach Stack, Keith Higgins, Ken McGrath, Dean Rock, Kieran Donaghy, to name a few, the proceeds going to Self-Help Africa, his own club Nafina, and of course Sean takes on the quickfire questions. So check out The Player's Advice book from O'Brien Press and in Easton's today. That's next Monday from 9 AM as we continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the arrivals hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánagi.